Hey guys, Coach Keith Keppner here, finishing out a day or a night at the gym. I want to talk about something that I wish I would have known and realized, or at least realized more when I boxed. All the time people ask me how I can get, or how they can get in better condition for boxing. And they try a bunch of fancy stuff to get into better condition for boxing. And more often than not, if it's fancy, it's no good. So this is what I wish I would have known and realized and done more. Super basic advice here, but I'm gonna tell you the advice and why it's important. Road work, very important. I thought it was a cliche when I boxed. I really did. I thought just sprints alone were gonna do it, and sprints did help, but that's not enough. I thought working hard on the bag was enough. And it all helps. It all helps. It's not a zero. But I'm telling you that you need to get road work in. You need to get running in if you can do it. Now, I understand if you can't do it, if you got like joint issues, things like that, you need to replace it with something else. But getting that steady state aerobic activity is very important. Now, I'm going to tell you why it's important first, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. All right. So first off, it's important because if you are only doing interval style training and you're just doing the burst and recover, your body gets used to breaks. In a fight, you might not get breaks. And I know you might be saying, oh, Coach Keith, well, it's gonna be 3 minutes and it's gonna be a minute break, right? So I'm gonna get a break. It doesn't matter. Your body's conditioned to break. So at the very least, you running at a consistent pace for more than a few miles is important to program your own physical toughness to keep going even when you don't want to, because your opponent will make you fight at times that you don't want to fight. It won't be like, oh man, I know it's just going to be this burst and I'm going to get that break. It may feel like that break's coming and it's not coming. So that's one thing. Building up literally the mental conditioning toughness to stay consistent and keep moving. But then there's also the fact that you're building up such a great aerobic base when you run for distance that it actually will help you in a few ways. It helps you in not only recovering between your bursts faster and more effectively, meaning when you explode and throw a combination on someone, you're going to be able to recover better. You're also going to be able to throw longer combinations, put it together. You're going to be able to recover faster during the break in a round to go out there and unload again and beat the hell out of somebody. But then also, it's going to help you recover between workouts. Yes, because the better ability that your body has to move metabolic byproduct through your body, the faster you can recover, right? The more that things like lactic acid and all that stuff can get moved through and, things can get repaired and everything else, the better your cardiovascular system is, the better this happens, all right? So it's an amazing thing. You'll find that as you improve your aerobic base, you can actually train more often and more intensely when you need to, and recover better during the workout, in between bouts of exertion, as well as between workouts. Really great thing. But then also there's another side to it as well. I talked about the mental side of it helping you with that mental toughness of keeping going. Like I see it all the time with guys that are football players, right? They're used to that 10-second burst or whatever it is, and then drop out, stop, right? They lose focus and they lose the physical intensity. And so therefore, in boxing, they might lose it during the round, do their burst and lose focus and intensity. But then also, like when they're done with a sparring session, they literally fall out. They lay on the floor, things like that. And you got to tell them to get up and walk around to build up that reserve, that push, that is that little falter and that little crack in the facade that may come out in a fight when you don't want it to come out. So again, it helps you get rid of that as opposed to only doing interval style training. Again, interval style training is very important to get that heart rate up to a maximum level, as well as to help even with speed endurance and things like that. But man, it's amazing how being able to go at a good pace for distance is just so beneficial. Because think about it, what would be the ideal fighter? If you could go non-stop at a pretty good clip, you could drown a lot of people and beat most people. You put that with a little bit of explosions here and there and good technicalness and good toughness, man, you're pretty much unbeatable, right? You got like an unbeatable motor, unbeatable gas tank. And so therefore, if you're running in a fashion where you're running 4 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles, even as up to 8 miles, and being able to do that at a fairly fast pace where you're running, let's say 7 30-minute miles and things like that, your ability to tolerate that higher elevated heart rate for a sustained period of time translates directly to you being, let's say, a high pressure fighter, or to be able to deal with a high pressure fighter. And then if you don't need to fight high pressure, guess what, man? You got the conditioning now to do it. But the mental side that I was going to talk about, when you're running out there, do it outside if you can. It's so great for the mind, for you to get that mindful meditation or active mindful meditation. A lot of times it's hard for us to just sit down and do nothing, right? To meditate and stuff like that. But it's very important for us in our everyday life, but also as you as an athlete, to have that ability to focus on the breath, learn to control the breath, but then also to be able to just focus on nothing else but that, clear your mind, or maybe concentrate on one thing you need to concentrate on, and not listen to music and things like that. It really serves so many purposes. Also, you get outside, you get maybe some vitamin D, very important, right? Because you're spending time in a boxing gym, most of us. So all those things come together. Now, when you run, you need to make sure you run a little bit more on the balls of your feet, because if you're heel striking, it's going to make running harder, but also it is not good, because when we box, we need to move on the balls of our feet, right? You need to get used to that, build up that ability to do so. But obviously, for good running form, you need to do that. Focus on having your shoulders relaxed. And hey, guess what? That translates directly to boxing, doesn't it? Right? Because if you're able to box with relaxed shoulders, you'll be able to throw more punches. You'll be able to be faster. Your shoulders are going to actually get less injured too. So running and keeping everything in the body relaxed and moving those legs, and that's it. Now, the only thing I will say with running that will be different is to run at a good clip and hard pace. The head will probably be up a little bit more, obviously a lot more than it is when you box. That's the one thing, but that's it. But then also, heck, I could even give you one more point, that boxing is very lateral, right? And so therefore running is purely moving forward. So it's working your body in a little bit different plane, but also working at keeping a heart rate that's relatively elevated, keeping that constant pace and work ethic that will translate directly to your boxing training. That's why the old timers swore by it, all right? It's so important. And then when should you run? There's a lot of times people talk about, hey, you should run at this time of day, right? Fasted cardio, or you get up, you run early in the morning, it gives you that mental advantage. Like, yeah, those all things, like the mental advantage thing might be true. But one thing that I find is that when you run, and this is what my dad told me too, it's like a lot of these guys, they lived in urban settings, right? Live in Chicago, New York, stuff like that, Philadelphia. If you try to go out and run in the middle of the day, you have cars all along the road where you're running, most people, right? So that's gonna do what? You're gonna be inhaling all that crap, man. And that's no good. So that's why they would run early in the morning. So you have cleaner air, right? Or get out in nature and run if you can go to a park. That is the rationale behind running early in the morning, or maybe that's just when you're able to, right? That's when your schedule allows. Now, what about fasted cardio? And that decreasing or increasing your ability to burn fat, or decreasing the body fat in your body? From my understanding of the research, there's not much to support that actually when we look at a meta-analysis. I may be wrong on this, so feel free to correct me on this, but from my understanding, there were some things that suggested that might be the case, but it really doesn't make a heck of a lot of a difference if you just account for total caloric intake. It doesn't really matter when you do your cardio. So remember, don't get mixed up in all this other nuanced crap. Get some miles in. Now, how many miles should you get a week? My recommendation is get between about 10 to 15 miles a week as a fighter. Again, I'm assuming that your knees are good. I'm assuming your feet are good, right? If other things come into play and you have to prioritize and pull back on stuff, maybe do something else besides running, that's fine. I understand. But get that time on your legs, that consistent pace where you are working at a hard pace, pretty hard pace that you're maintaining for multiple minutes, 30 minutes, for 40 minutes, for 50 minutes. And it's great. Oh, and then also, it's a great way to actually recover to run slow maybe once a week. That's something I recommend for all my fighters to do, is to go for a long, slow run. Now, you might say, Coach Keith, why are you going for a long, slow run? Well, we're still stimulating our cardiovascular system, right? Our aerobic abilities and capacity. But then also, why do people do cold plunges? Why do people do, like saunas for recovery or whatever other random stuff they do for recovery, right? Is to create more blood flow in the body. When you run, you're doing that. You're moving the biggest muscles in your entire body, your legs, and moving it. All this blood through your body is going to help you recover to just run at that slow pace. It's kind of like active recovery. That is a thing, and it is helpful. I've tried to recover back when I boxed by laying around and literally doing nothing. It didn't make me feel better. It didn't help me recover. So take my word for it. That's what I wish I knew more and realized more and did more when I boxed. So let me give that gift to you. You can't deny it. You might say, I hate running, I don't like running, that's why I box, is because I hate running. Well, if you want to be a good fighter and you want to get to a high level, you'll notice, correlation is not causation, but correlation is a suggestion of what the case might be. And that is for you to get in your road work. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you buy me a cup of coffee, like, subscribe, comment, share it with someone you think might benefit from this information. I also have my coaching programs. I'm doing custom coaching programs. So click on the Patreon link to check out that, grab that. I also have a program on how to become a power puncher and a workout routine to do that, as well as a 4-week boxing and strength training conditioning cycle for you to run through that incorporates so many things that I talk about in all my videos. All right, guys, click on that and I'll see you on this next video right here.